So we were discussing the mm, the evolution of the electronics. That means how the electronics have been evolved. Actually, this sort of thing. There is a definite story about how the electronics was evolved. What happened? Just a minute. Just a minute. This is necessary to know that how these have been generated, because you are used to you are familiar to use the electronic benefit of the electronics, different gadgets you are using, but that gadgets gives you tremendous facilities. That is why you are using. Just like that, a computer, you know that what can a computer do, what can a mobile phone do. Like this, in every field of human life applications, the electronics have been penetrated into it. And so you are normal people actually get the benefits of the electronics. They use the electronics because it is very quite helpful, because it actually eases our daily life and different application area. Due to this electronics, you see that now in the world, in at any place, you can contact with any person. So point to point communication is possible. So these are the benefits of the electronics. Distance have been synced, and this online class also can be done with this electronic platform. So these are the facilities electronics actually providing you, and you are using the uh, benefits of the electronics. But the difference between the normal people and the you are that you actually know, you have to know that how these electronics actually work, how these devices work, how these circuits work, such that these facilities actually can be obtained. So you have to understand those things. So this is the difference between the normal human being, normal people, and being an electrical engineer. That is the difference. So you have to know these principles, that how these devices works, how the circuit works, how these facilities, which is actually given by these electronic devices, how they perform, how they can do this such type of facilities, how can perform like this. So that is why you have to know that how the electronics have been evolved. So last day we are discussing that I have said in the last semester, today also I will say, in this semester also I am saying that the electronics is electronics have been come out from a branch of physics, which is the electricity and magnetism. There is nothing, some kind of thing, absurd thing is there. There is a definite path through which the electronics have been gradually come into the picture, and that path is the physics branch. One is called the electricity and magnetism. From that branch, electronics gradually have been evolved. And also I have said in the last semester that diode is the first electronic device that through which the electronics have been evolved. And last day also we are discussing little bit of the story. This is a very interesting story, and I have to study this thing because I also am not aware of this. I know this thing, but in specifically point by point, how this was happened. I have to study different patents. I have to study the different historical books, and that is why I have come out to this conclusion, and I am now presenting this one. I hope that you will be benefited if you learn this, if you know this thing. This is not a part of a syllabus, okay? Uh, this is this is not a part of a syllabus that you have to learn this thing, you have to write this thing in the examination, not like that, but you should know this history, this how this has happened at that time, 150 years ago, and now you know that electronics, what can electronics do. So in that respect, to understand the electronics, as you are an electrical engineer, to understand the electronics very precisely, you have to understand that how it has generated and how it come to this form, today's form. So that sort of thing is not included in the syllabus, but it is not, it does not matter, because you have to know this thing. If you know this thing, then your understanding will be complete. Otherwise, there is a gap between the understanding. But you have always a question that so electron is appeared some absurd way. Not like that. It is a definite physics is there. Uh, Last day we are discussing this that story that a electric bulb, everybody know that Thomas Alva Edison was the inventor of the electric bulb. That bulb is still today still that bulb exists, and that structure also exists. 150 years, nobody wants to bother to change the structure. And today's bulb, which is the LED bulb, also follow this structure. So this is the influence of the Thomas Alva Edison electric bulb 150 years ago. This is one of the influential invention in the history of mankind, that electric bulb, what is a very useful product of the home appliances, not only for home, whenever you require a light, that is a very useful product. But that electric bulb also lasts today also, and also the next generation bulb, that is the LED bulb, also follow the same structure which is invented by the Thomas Alva Edison. But we also discussed last day, tried to discuss that how an electric bulb is converted into an diode. Okay, so that is the electronic device, fast electronic device. We are discussing, we have discussed something that to avoid the darkening problem, that is the electrons are coming out from the filament, and that actually strike the glass bulb, and that actually darkens the glass bulb. So to avoid this problem, to collect the electrons, the Thomas Alva Edison, he placed a metal strip which is called a plate. So this is the metal strip he actually placed above the filament, such that the electrons coming out from the filament will be collected to the plate, and those collections of the electrons cannot hit the glass bulb. So glass bulb will not be darkened, and the bulb will continuously glow for a long period of time. So this darkening problem of the glass bulb will be avoided if we place a plate. Very simple idea, nothing complicated. Place a plate above the filament, make it a positive charged, make it a positive potential. All the electrons coming from the filament will be collected by the plate. It will not hit the glass bulb, so darkening problem will be absent. So this is a very simple problem to make the glass bulb run for a long time. Okay, someone is wanting to join. Very simple physics, very simple science is there, but I hope that you have understood this thing, that how I have prepared this material, starting different patents, starting different things, that what was the Thomas Alva Edison patent, and what were the other different scientific content. I have to search for it, study it, and I came to know this thing, and that is why it will be easy to understand that how this has happened. So this was the modification of the electric bulb. So this one is the modification of the electric bulb to avoid the darkening problem of the actual electric bulb. And that actually, this was actually what he has invented, the Edison have invented, that is a diode. He was not completely unaware of that device which he had invented, that it is a diode. He did not know at that time that it is a potential electronic device that is called a diode. He's completely unaware. He used that structure as an improved electrical bulb for the generation purpose of the light. So that was the invention. But he noticed that If the plate is positively charged, if the plate is positively charged, then current can flow. If the plate is negatively charged, then current cannot flow. So it is very easy to make also for you also, because if the plate is positively charged, electron will be collected and external current will flow. If the plate is negatively charged, then the electrons from the filament will be repelled by this plate. No electron will be collected, no current will flow. So this is the valve operation of that electric bulb, modified electric bulb. You can very easily understand that why, for if you apply the positive plate potential positive, current will flow. If you make a plate potential negative, current will not flow. So this was noticed by him, and it is named as addition effect. So this was the addition effect. He named this as a addition effect. But he was not aware of that phenomena, that what is the utility of that unidirectional current flow. He was not he was not aware of that phenomena, because he actually treated that modified bulb as a light source. Then what happened in 1889, in this year, the Fleming, that Fleming is the inventor of the diode valve. Actually, what happened, that invention was done by the Thomas Alva Edison, but he completely unaware that that is a diode and what is the potential application of that device. He discussed this thing with the Fleming, Ambrose Fleming. Ambrose Fleming is working under the Thomas Alva Edison at that time. Thomas Alva Edison was an experimental scientist, and he has over 300 patents. Okay, he has over 300 patents. This is one of the best electric bulb, was one of the major outcome from Thomas Alva Edison. But Fleming was working under the Thomas Alva Edison, and during that period in 1889, Thomas Alva Edison then discussed this phenomena with the Fleming. Fleming was also an influential scientist, and he understood that, and he discussed with the Fleming. Fleming realized that this device is not just like a electrical bulb. The plate over the filament is not just a electrical bulb. It is something else. He understood the gravity of that device and starts working on the device. Okay. Then what happened? He noticed that if you apply instead of a DC potential, if you apply a AC potential here, which may have a positive half cycle or negative half cycle. Look, in the last semester, we have discussed this AC diode application, that diode only, PN junction diode only allows the positive half cycle if you apply in case of a half wave rectifier circuit. We have discussed these things. So it will be very easy to understand that why, if we apply a AC source here, why this device only allow the positive half cycle. Because if you apply the AC source, then when the plate is positive, electron will be collected. When the plate is negative, electron will not be collected. So this structure actually only allows one directional current flow. And Fleming applied 80 to 100 Hertz here. Instead of a DC, he applied a AC source, 80 to 100 Hertz. He observed that only one half cycle is during the one half cycle, only the external current can flow through the device. He called this device as a oscillation valve. He understood the gravity of that device, but it is not a electrical bulb. It is something else. But he cannot understand at that time that what is the potential application of this device will become. Okay. So he has noticed this phenomena. Later on, last day we are discussing that Marconi. I hope that you have all heard the Marconi. Marconi, and there is a conflict between the Marconi and the Sir J.C. Bose, that who is the inventor of the radio wave. Radio wave means radio wave, wireless wave, radio wave propagation. That radio wave means what do you mean by a radio wave? You are using the mobile phone. The signal which is coming from the tower to the mobile phone, or the signal going from the mobile phone to the tower, it is a wireless electromagnetic signal. That is called the radio wave. Okay, so these are the radio waves. These radio waves or electromagnetic waves, who is the inventor of this wave, radio wave? There is a conflict between the Marconi and the Sir J.C. Bose. I hope that you already, everybody knows this thing. You have learned in the childhood that Marconi stolen the technique from the Sir J.C. Bose house and patented it in his name, like that. But the story is not like that. The Marconi does not enter into the J.C. Bose house and stolen all these things. This is not like that. Okay, we will discuss little bit in this discussions also. But who is the actual inventor? It does not matter because Marconi already have been patented for the radio wave inventor. Okay, but J.C. Bose contribution at that time was much broader than the Marconi's contribution. Okay, this I can say at this instant. We will see the story. We will little bit discuss about the story. If you are interested in. Okay, that Marconi. Okay, so when the Marconi actually doing some experiment on the radio wave, that experiment actually transatlantic radio wave transmission. He actually sent a radio signal from one end of the Atlantic Ocean, and the other end, he actually received the radio signal. He wanted to receive the radio signal at the other end. That wireless communication, that is by the radio wave, he actually wanted this. He actually trying to do this experiment, for which he has been credited for the radio wave inventor in 1901. In 1901. So he is doing this experiment, and also Ambrose Fleming. You just see the linking that Marconi is doing this type of radio wave experiment, a transatlantic experiment, radio wave propagation over the transatlantic ocean. And Marconi, fortunately, the Ambrose Fleming was a consultant to the Marconi. So at that time, these are the scientists, they are actually doing the experiments. So Ambrose Fleming becomes a consultant to the Marconi. Okay, so they are discussing each other. Then Marconi are doing that experiment. So what the Marconi actually facing a trouble, that he has very efficiently sending the radio signal from the transmitter end on one side of the Atlantic Ocean. But at the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, there is some problem to detect the signal. How to detect the incoming signal? If you cannot detect the incoming signal, then you cannot be sure that there is some radio wave is coming to that end. Nowadays, it is already everybody know who actually know the physics or does not know the physics. Everybody, a layman also knows that there is some sort of signal is coming at the mobile phone. So they have the idea that there is a wireless radio wave signal is there. Whether they know the radio signals or not, do not know. Everybody has a mobile phone. They can understand there is signal problem is there. So everybody is known to you. But at that time, nobody actually knows about the existence of the radio wave. Okay, so this was the scenario at that time. So unless Marconi can detect the incoming radio waves at the other end of the Atlantic Ocean, then he cannot be sure that radio wave is coming. So there was some sort of problem in the detection of the incoming radio wave. What is a radio wave is coming? You already know that radio wave is an electromagnetic AC signal. Okay, electromagnetic AC signal is coming at the receiver end. But how to detect the signal? You know that the incoming AC signal, if you take average, that will produce a zero voltage. So all the meters, average meters, that cannot detect the signal because it will produce the zero potential. Why? Because the averaging method does not work on the AC signal. You already know this thing, that you have also learned this thing. Also, we have discussed in the last semester. So that meters all fails. So how to detect the incoming radio signal, which is a AC wave, wireless AC wave? This was the problem for the Marconi at that time. And Ambrose Fleming was a consultant to the Marconi. And he was actually discussing with the Marconi actually discussing this problem with the Ambrose Fleming, that there is a problem in the detection in the receiver end, that how to detect the incoming radio wave such that we be able to sure that the radio wave is coming. Then the experiment will be successful, and we can predict, we can say that there is there will be a successful radio wave generation and radio wave transmission, so wireless communication can be done. So this is the
Sir,
idea of the
sir, hello, sir. Sir,
yeah.
someone tried to join.
Okay. Okay, I am saying very fast because I have very little time. But can you understand that what I am saying? It is a very interesting story that will give you the details of that what happened at that time. Are you getting me clearly? Is there any question?
No, sir, no, sir. গল্প তো সবসময় ভালো লাগে।
তুমি তো বাংলায় বলে ফেললে, যাই হোক বাংলায় বলতে পারছি না কারণ অনেকে বাংলা বললে অসুবিধা হবে, কিন্তু এটা হ্যাঁ গল্প বলছো ঠিকই, ভালো কথা, গল্প কথা বলেছো ভালোই, কিন্তু এটা ঠিক গল্প না। এর মধ্যে একটা ডেফিনিট সায়েন্স আছে, ফিজিক্স আছে, যে ফিজিক্সের অনেকগুলো ফেনোমেনা সেখানে ছিল যেগুলো অ্যাট এ টাইম ঠিকঠাক পরপর বসে গেছে বলে এই জিনিসগুলো চলে এসছে। তো এটা পুরোপুরি ঠিক গল্প না, তবুও বলতে পারো যে হ্যাঁ সায়েন্টিফিক
স্যার
ফ্যাক্টের উপরে
গল্পের মতো তো ভালো লাগছে তাই।
হ্যাঁ গল্পের মতোই, কিন্তু জিনিসটা খুবই ইন্টারেস্টিং, সেই জন্য আমি তোমাদেরকে বলছি। এবং এটা আমিও অতটা জানতাম না, আমাকেও এটা নিয়ে পড়াশোনা করতে হয়েছে, ঠিক আছে। যাই হোক, আমি খুব ফাস্ট তোমাদেরকে বলছি, তোমরা একটু বোঝার চেষ্টা করো, তাহলে ব্যাপারটা বুঝতে পারবে যে ইলেকট্রনিক্স কি, কোথা থেকে এলো, কিভাবে এলো, কেন এরকম দাপুটে আকার ধারণ করেছে, কেন এত ইনফ্লুয়েন্সিভ, বুঝতে পেরেছো তো? জাস্ট এইটাই আমার ইন্টেনশন।
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Ambrose Fleming was a consultant of Marconi, who is actually doing this radio wave experiment at that time in 1901. Ambrose Fleming, when the Marconi actually says the problem about the receiving or detecting the incoming radio signal at the experiment, transatlantic experiment, then Ambrose Fleming realized that valve, that electrical bulb, plated electrical bulb, that oscillation valve can be utilized to detect the incoming radio signal. So that you may say that it is a very absurd phenomenon, but it has happened that at that time that bulb was generated, that plated bulb was generated. It was known to Fleming that this bulb only allows only one half cycle of the incoming AC signal, applied AC signal. This was known to Fleming. Marconi was doing some experiment of the radio signal. He has a detection problem at the same time, and also Marconi and Fleming are in together with the discussions. So Marconi raised the problem to the Fleming. Fleming understood that oscillation valve can be utilized to detect the incoming radio signal, which is Marconi actually doing the experiment. So this all those things, though it sounds absurd, but all those things is very close together and they patch up together. So Marconi, what happened then? Ambrose Fleming then applied those electrical bulb. So this one he applied to detect the incoming radio wave signal, which is actually Marconi actually doing the experiment. So that valve is utilized in that experiment, and then the incoming radio wave signal which is coming at the receiver end, that valve, oscillation valve, only allows only one half cycle. Negative half cycle will be clipped up. This principle already known to you from the previous semester also, and also in this discussions also, you know that whenever you have a plate is positive, you have the plate is positive, then current will flow. If the plate is negative, current will not flow. So this is the basic principles of this valve, and it is applied to the incoming AC signal. When the incoming AC signal falls on this valve, oscillation valve, it only allows only one half cycle. And you know that the only one half cycle is allowed that has a definite DC signal. And also you have calculated this thing last semester. We have calculated this thing. It is Vm by pi in case of half wave rectifier. So that DC signal, that DC voltage will measure the incoming wireless signal. If the incoming wireless signal amplitude is large, DC signal will be large. If the incoming wireless signal amplitude is low, DC signal will be low. So then Fleming utilized that oscillation valve, which is actually which is truly generated by the alpha addition in the detection of the Marconi's experiment, and he detected the incoming wireless signal. Then the Marconi was successful in transmission and reception of the radio wave signal first time as patented. Okay. So then Marconi's experiment becomes successful. He detected that he actually sent the wireless signal and also detected the wireless signal at the receiver end with the help of Fleming with his oscillation valve. Then Fleming understood that this device is a tremendous device. This electrical bulb, plated electrical bulb, is not only an electrical bulb for the purpose of the generation of the light. This is something else, and he applied it successfully. He understood that it is a tremendous device. It is a potential device to detect the wireless signal. So that was the first applications of the vacuum diode valve to detect the incoming wireless signal, to measure the incoming wireless signal. In 1904, Ambrose Fleming rectifies the wireless signal of the Marconi using what is termed as an oscillation valve. This is the first time addition effect has been used. It was a simple diode valve, sometimes referred to as a Fleming diode or vacuum diode. After that, that electrical bulb, named as a Fleming diode or the vacuum diode, successfully applied to detect the incoming wireless signal. That means to rectify the incoming wireless signal. There is the potential applications of the electrical valve, and that is then he actually patented this in 16 November 1904. Ambrose Fleming then applied for a patent for his oscillation valve, and that is called the Fleming diode or the vacuum tube diode. So that electrical bulb is now converted into a vacuum diode in this way. And everybody then understood that this electrical bulb modification of the electrical bulb is not just for the light purpose. It has a tremendous applications in other fields, and that is in terms of detecting the wireless signal was the first tremendous applications of that bulb, electrical bulb. So in this way, the electrical bulb, which is developed by Thomas Alva Edison, converted into a diode, and then people realized that this diode, vacuum diode or the Fleming diode, has a tremendous application, potential applications in detecting wireless signal or in other type of applications. So that electrical bulb then finds a identity which is known as a Fleming diode or the vacuum tube diode. I hope that you have understood that how an electrical bulb is converted into a diode, which is called a vacuum diode. Okay. So Fleming patented it in 16 November 1904. Then people understood that this structure has potential applications. So we need to do some experiment on this structure such that some new things appear. So that was done by Lee Forest. In 1906, Lee Forest doing the several experiment on that Fleming diode or the Fleming tube vacuum tube diode. He inserted another third electrode, and that is called the grid. I hope that you already know the structure of the triode. So in 1906, Lee Forest actually inserted another electrode into that electric bulb structure. That is the grid. So he inserted this one, this grid, that porous structure, grid. So between the filament and the plate. Now these structures, after the detection of the wireless signal, is no longer an electrical bulb. It becomes something else. Okay. So now he inserted another structure into the grid called as a grid. But he cannot understand somebody is waiting for to join. Are you getting me?
Yes, sir.
Somebody want to join or not? There are several sounds are coming here. That is why I cannot understand. If anybody wants to join, please inform me. But let me finish this one. So Liddy Forrest in 1906, after the Fleming diode, experimenting on the diode valve, and he inserted another third electrode, which is called the grid. And he named as a Odeon. This device is named as a Odeon. He invented another device after the modification of the Fleming. He invented another device. That same electrical bulb, he inserted another grid-like structure between the plate and the cathode, and he was not aware of that what he has invented. He completely unaware of that what he has invented. He still used that valve as an oscillation valve, just like the Fleming diode valve. But he is not. He is completely unaware that what he has invented. You know that this triode is an amplifier device. So he does not know about the amplification properties at that time. Now this valve, all these valves of the electric bulb has a problem, which is actually faced by the Thomas Alva Edison. That is the carbon filament. That carbon filament cannot last for a long time. But though the Thomas Alva Edison has been successfully enlarged the time span of the carbon filament, but still after some long time that carbon filament actually breaks down. So that is the conventional, that is the usual problem of this type of glass bulb structures. So later on in 1908, Ambrose Fleming replaces the carbon filament by a tungsten filament. Okay. In today's glass bulb, today's electrical bulb, what is the filament you are seeing? That is a tungsten filament. That wiring of the filament, you see that if you have a electrical bulb, you closely can see the within the electrical bulb that there is a coiled, very fine, thin coiled filament is there. That is not a carbon filament. That is a tungsten filament, which was replaced by Ambrose Fleming in 1908. This replacement actually gives this electrical bulb very steady life, that such that the carbon filament usually tries to break down after a short time in interval, but this tungsten filament actually gives a very long lifetime. So that is why the electrical bulb that is used nowadays in the domestic purpose or anywhere, that does not break down. That does not break down very frequently. It has a very long lasting time. So it was done by Ambrose Fleming in 1908. Carbon replaced by the tungsten filament. Then the reliability of electric bulb, then the reliability of the vacuum diode, and also this newly invented device, Odeon, the grid, insertion of the grid, this device, reliability increases. This filament now is a tungsten filament. Then Liddy Forrest, he invented this device, which is called the Odeon, insertion of the third electric plate within the structure. He realized that this device has certain potential application, but he cannot find it, that what is the potential applications of this device. After 6 years, in 1912, Liddy Forrest first make an electrical amplifier with this device, with this invented device, Odeon, with this device. This is a triode. You know that this is a triode structure. So to understand that this is an amplifier device, it requires 6 years later, after several experiments, then Liddy Forrest understood that this is a electrical amplifier. A circuit can be built with this device such that electrical signal can be amplified. So this was understood 6 years later in 1912. after that revolutionized the electronics field. Let us first understand that what a triode. So this is initially was named as a Audion, but later on it was named as a triode. You know that how the triode work, but very quickly we just understand this one. So this is the filament. This is the filament. It was previously was carbon filament. Now it is a tungsten filament. Okay. So this filament, if the electrical current flows, then electron will be electron will be emitted. And you also know that this was invented from the electrical bulb. So when the current flows through this filament, automatically light will be generated. Okay, so that is why this diode valve and the triode valve. I don't know whether you have seen this valve working. Always there will be some electrical bulb like filament. The light is yellow light will be coming out. All this valve from this valve, yellow light will come out. So the electrons from this filament actually coming out. Plate, if you make a plate positive potential, then these electrons will be collected by the plate and external current will flow. So these are the basic principles of a vacuum diode. Now insertion of a grid. So this is the insertion of the grid by the Lady Forest. What happens if you apply a negative potential here, very slight negative potential to the grid potential, then what will happen? The electrons which is flowing towards the plate will be affected by this grid potential. If you increase the negative potential on the grid, the less amount of electron will be collected by the plate. If you decrease the negative potential on the grid, more number of electrons will be collected to the plate. So more current will be there. So what happens before this insertion of the grid, there was a constant current at the external circuit. All the electrons coming out from the filament is collected by the plate and constant current is flowing. Now with the insertion of this grid, if you slightly change the grid potential, that current from filament to plate or the external circuit can vary. So this is the operating principle of the triode. So if you place the weak electrical signal, AC signal, into the grid, then what will happen? So there will be very small here, then there will be small potential variation into the, and that small amount of potential variation into the grid will affect similarly the current flow between the filament and the plate. But this current flow from filament to plate is a very high current, whereas this potential applied to the grid is a very small current. So what you are doing, you are varying a very small amount of signal here, grid potential, that will affect the very large current. So that will produce a very large variation. That will produce a very large variation to the external circuit. So in this way, the amplifier actually works. So you apply your weak signal to the grid, that can vary similarly a very large current which is flowing between plate and grid, plate and filament. So a large current, similar large current variation you can find at the external output, and that you are getting an amplified version of the input weak signal. So this is the working principle of this device. I hope that you have understood this one. This principle is not only applicable for the triode. This principle is applicable for the transistor, FET, MOSFET, every 3-terminal device. There is a third electrode where you have to apply the small signal. Then the current between the two other electrodes will vary similarly, which is a high current, so you get a very large variation. So in this way, every amplifier actually amplifies the signal. To understand the potential of this device, Lady Forest in 1912, he demonstrated he makes a valve amplifier. And that he demonstrated that weak electrical signal can be amplified by this triode valve. Previously, before this invention, there was no electrical amplifier. Okay, so after this invention, there is possible that the weak signal can be amplified by this electrical circuit, which is made by with the help of a triode. After this invention of the triode and the amplifier, then the applications of this valve in the electrical area increases. What happens after this invention? What happens? The telephone lines or the long distance communication electrical signal, which is after traveling some distance, it becomes weakened. There was no scope to boost the signal. After this triode amplifier, now the people, what they do, they apply after certain distance a amplifier. They again amplify the signal such that the signal in the middle of a journey, it can be amplified and go for a long distance. In this way, after this triode amplifier invention, a long distance communication, electrical signal communication can be set up. So this was the potential applications that, of this triode at that time, to get the amplification of the electrical signal, which was not present before this invention. So long distance communications can be done. Weak signal which is received can be amplified. All these things are going to work, and there is a tremendous revolution in the communication and the electronics applications, and people try to improve these devices. Later on, there was another several electrodes are inserted later on, that is called the pentode, heptode, octode. So this type of devices later on generated, and there was a tremendous research and applications of these devices in the electronics world have begun. We have also done the pentode valve experiment in our department. We have done this thing, but nowadays that laboratory is completely vanished because of the electronics, solid state electronics, the crystalline electronics. That vacuum laboratory, there was big vacuum laboratories was there, that they completely erased out due to this semiconductor. So we have done some kind of pentode experiment in the laboratory. So after this 1912, there was a tremendous applications of this type of valves, diode valve, triode valve generated, because there is a electrical amplifier was been possible. So electrical signal can be amplified by this triode valve, then revolutionized the concept, and this branch of electronics have evolved and taking the a new dimension. So this is the story of the vacuum diode or vacuum triode or the vacuum electronics. Though it is a electronics, but with the help of valve. These vacuum electronics have been originated from the electric bulb. Okay, so this is the story. I hope that you have understood this story, that how this vacuum electronics, from where it actually generated and how it actually dominates the electronics world initially. Up to 1930, there was no parallel applications of this to replace this vacuum diode, vacuum triode. So they dominate the electronic world up to 1930, up to 1940. Have you understood this vacuum electronics, how they evolved? Is there any question? You can ask me. Have you got this thing?
Yes, sir.
Anyone, do you want to know anything? Any question is arising in you? This I have prepared after several studies. I have prepared this thing, and this happened at that time. Okay.
স্যার গ্রিডের ব্যাপারটা একটু বলুন স্যার একবার।
কোনটা বলো
স্যার গ্রিড মানে যেটা স্যার
হ্যাঁ বলো। দেখো, don't hesitate to ask question. Okay, if there is any confusion, anything you want to know, you can ask me. Grid, you just see. হ্যাঁ বলছি, ঠিক আছে বলছি। এই যে ফিলামেন্ট, এইটা হচ্ছে এর মধ্যে দিয়ে যদি কারেন্ট পাস করো, if you pass a current through this filament, now it is a tungsten filament, okay, instead of a carbon filament. if you pass a current through this filament, so this is the filament, then it will be heated up and will glow some, emit some light, as well as it will emit, due to the high heat, it will emit some electrons. So these electrons will be emitted, and if you make this plate, previously what happened, these electrons actually strike the glass bulb and darken the glass bulb. So light cannot emit from the glass bulb. There is a darkening problem will be there. To avoid this, the Thomas Alva Edison placed a plate here. So this is the plate actually to collect those electrons. But this structure to insertions of the plate becomes a diode, and you have understood that the diode is a potential. It can be used as a rectifier to detect the incoming wireless signal. Marconi has used this thing with the help of Fleming. Later on, Lee de Forest. So what is the structure? If you place a positive potential to the plate, so all the electrons coming will be collected to the plate. Now this current, so external current will flow. If you make a negative potential to the plate, no current will flow, because the negative plate will repel the electrons. So you have to apply the positive potential to get the current within the structure, external current. So all the electrons coming from the filament will be collected to the plate and the current will flow. This current is of the order of milliampere order, or very high milliampere order. Okay, several milliampere, 100 milliampere, something like that. Lee de Forest inserted a third electrode here, which is called the this type of structure. This is the grid. This is a porous structure. This porous structure, that is why it is dotted. Okay, it is a cross-sectional view. That is the porous structure. That means is some kind of বাংলায় যেটা বলে না, জালি বলে না, জাল বলে, ওরকম মাঝে মাঝে স্কোয়ার মতো মেটাল স্ট্রাকচার, যার মধ্যে দিয়ে ইলেকট্রন বেরোতে পারে, সেরকম একটা স্ট্রাকচার. So this is a porous structure. Okay, it's placed a grid here, third plate. And if you put a negative potential to the grid, what have happened? If you put a negative potential, look in here, it is a negative potential applied to the grid. Then what will happen? The electrons coming from the filament will be repelled by this grid element. Previously, suppose 100 electrons actually reach the plate. Now, if you apply a very small grid potential negative, then what will happen? Some 10 or 15 electrons will be repelled. So, number of electrons which is actually reaching the plate will be less. Is that clear?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So if you now vary this potential, negative potential, if you increase the negative potential of the grid, what will happen? If you increase the negative potential of the grid, so lesser number of electrons will reach the plate. If you decrease the negative potential of the grid, more number of electrons will reach the plate. So if you apply a AC signal here, so AC signal, suppose a sine wave, you have applied a sine wave. So during the positive half cycle, grid potential will be less. So the current, more electron will collect to the plate and current will flow. During the negative half cycle, grid potential will be more, less electron will be collected by the plate and less current will flow. So as the grid potential vary, the current between the filament and the plate similarly vary. But the current between plate and filament is very high current, whereas the grid potential or the grid current is very small current. So what you are doing, you are varying a grid potential very slightly because it is a very small current. That utilizing that, you are varying a very large plate and filament, which is a very large current. So similar variation you will get at the output current. So small variation current produces a very large variation, similar variation current. So that is the amplification of your signal. So this device actually works in this way. Not only this device, all the three terminal device, transistor, FET, MOSFET, CMOSFET, all the three terminal devices, junction FET, every three terminal device actually works with this principle. I hope that you have got this.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Sir, from college there were important PDF forwarded to us regarding the books and the courses. And there was given 5 important books in this analog electronics courses. And which books will be best papers, sir?
I cannot say that without knowing the books.
Sir,
Name of the
Boylston
books.
and Naxley, there was
Boyle State is a
given
very
one.
good, very conceptually sound, very good book.
Sir,
Any
it
other?
was Sir Milliman and
Acha, okay,
Halkayas.
okay. Just a second. HOD is Alfred. This I have to take this film. Okay, okay. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? I have to attend the important call. Okay. Uh, what was your what was you saying? Start recording or casting. Start. Okay. Regarding the books, you are asking for the. Are you getting me now? Can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
What was asked that the Wallstand and Naselski is a very good analog electronics books, electronic devices and circuits. Any other book name by Ola Milman Halkias is also a very fundamental book. I will try to cover the entire syllabus and I will send you the e-copy of the book or the materials. Okay, electronic version of the materials. I will send you the electronic version of the material. Any other book, if you want to know that that book is a good or not, you can say. Who is actually asking? There is an interruption. Everybody is getting me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll just continue. We have discussed the journey of the electrical bulb converted into diode and triode. So first electrical amplifier was made with the help of triode in 1912. Then the electronics field actually revolutionized. So there is a branch of electronics which is actually revolutionized at that time. So this is the journey in a very short way. The very short way that this is the journey of the vacuum electronics. Let us now discuss about the journey of the solid state electronics. Last semester we have only discussed about the solid state electronics, that is the semiconductor materials like silicon, germanium, n-type, p-type, p-n junction. So this sort of thing we have discussed last semester, but how they have been generated. What is the history behind this? That how the semiconductor electronics, there are two types of electronics. One is the vacuum electronics, initially dominated the electronic world. Later on, the semiconductor electronics dominated the electronics world. Nowadays, the vacuum electronics is complete or almost absolute. Only some specific application, just like TV station, radio station, satellite, where some electrical valve is required to produce the high power, because the semiconductor devices, to generate high power, it is not so easy. So whenever you require 1000-watt power like that, then you require a electrical bulb. That means this type of vacuum devices. They are still in the TV station or radio station, in the transmitter end, you require 1000, 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt, 1.5 kilowatt power. Then there is a huge bulb is there. You cannot understand that how huge that bulb is. The bulb is so huge that a person can insert into the bulb and can repair the bulb. So then that is the structure of the bulb. So that is a huge bulb. Also in the satellite also, some klystron bulb is used, magnetron bulb is used mainly. So there is some applications of the bulb for the high power applications. So some electrical vacuum devices are used. Otherwise, the semiconductor electronics actually dominates the electronic field nowadays. Okay, are you getting the slide?
Yes, sir.
This is the story of the semiconductor diode, and you will be very surprised that there is a tremendous Indian contribution. Okay, tremendous Indian contribution of the semiconductor diode and devices, but it is not so. It is not well known to everybody, but there is a tremendous contribution of the semiconductor device initially. What happened? You know that you have learned in the physics that James Clerk Maxwell published a paper in 1865. You just note the year 1865. James Clerk Maxwell, with the help of only pen and paper, nothing else. With the help of only pen and paper, he has done a mathematics and after doing that mathematics, he tells that the actual speed of the light is 3 into 10 to the 10 centimeter per second. Just doing some mathematics, nothing else, no experiment, nothing. So that in that paper, a dynamical theory of electromagnetic field, in that paper published in 1865, he tells that light is an electromagnetic wave. So electric field, magnetic field actually propagate through the space and produces, that is the nature of the light. And the speed of the light he calculated very specifically. You know that in case of vacuum space, the speed of the light equation from the Maxwell theory is C equal to 1 by root over mu 0 epsilon 0. So by putting the mu 0 epsilon 0, he actually very precisely calculated the speed of light. So this was done by Maxwell in 1865. Not only for the light, there exists electromagnetic wave that can propagate through free space. So he actually, in his theoretical work, predicted that there is some wireless wave. Nowadays, you know that the signal from the mobile phone to the tower is nothing but a wireless signal, which is an electromagnetic radio wave signal. So that is actually Maxwell's signal. the Maxwell predicted that there exist electromagnetic waves, wireless waves in the nature. In 1865, theoretically, he except light, there were some other electromagnetic waves is also there. It can be known by the Maxwell's paper. Theoretically, mathematically, there exist electromagnetic waves in the nature. Except light, other electromagnetic waves were not known at that time. You already nowadays you know that between mobile phone and the tower there is a radio wave signal which is not a light. After 1865, there was a tremendous effort was made to prove that wireless signals actually present into the nature to generate wireless signal and detect wireless signal. So this was the challenge after the Maxwell's theoretical work, that electromagnetic waves. Then Heinrich Hertz, Rudolf Hertz, you have heard this thing in the physics class, that Heinrich Rudolf Hertz in 1888, after 1865, in 1888, he successfully generated some wireless signal. He actually proved the existence of the electromagnetic waves. This was the first experimental proof of the electromagnetic waves of the wireless signal. Heinrich Rudolf Hertz. So around 1888, he experimentally shown that there exists electromagnetic wave, that is the wireless wave, that is predicted by Maxwell in 1865. Now, J.C. Bose at Calcutta, Sir J.C. Bose, I hope that you have already heard the name of Sir J.C. Bose. He was also the inventor, popularly known in the, you have learned in the childhood book that he is popularly known as the inventor of the plant life. Okay, so that is one major invention of the Sir J.C. Bose. Now you will see that what are the major inventions he has done at that time in case of electronics. So J.C. Bose, who is actually working in the Presidency College as a lecturer, he is appointed as a lecturer in the Presidency College. He was a very influential lecturer and tremendous scientist at that time. In the Presidency College, he actually doing some experiment over this after Maxwell and the Hertz, specifically after the experiment of the Hertz in 1888. He influenced by this Hertz experiment that wireless signals is there, and he now doing some experiment on the wireless signal. In 1895, he is doing some experiment on the wireless signal in the Presidency College. And in his laboratory, he converted a room into a laboratory, and he generated. Just I have to mention something about the Sir J.C. Bose, what he was actually doing at that time. He put a workshop in his laboratory, and he framed all kind of devices he utilized. He made by himself. He put a workshop by his own, and what are the devices he actually used in that experiment in 1895? It was made by himself only. All the workshop, he has cut it, all these things, he has prepared all the devices, and believe me, that devices he used or produced and used in that experiment, that are the devices which was first time used in the any kind of wireless or microwave application, and that devices is still in use. So this was the impact of the J.C. Bose experiment at that time. So he actually doing some experiment in 1895. What was the experiment? He actually generated some 60 gigahertz signal. He generated some 60 gigahertz signal in the laboratory, and he transmitted the signal around 100 meter or something else, that kind of distance. And at the receiver end, he detected the signal. He used the signal to fire some gunpowder or to ring the bell, to that some wireless signal is going on, and that is the detection of the wireless signal. So this was the experiment at that time in 1895. That is the 60 gigahertz microwave signal. Now I want to just mention that the Marconi experiment and the wireless J.C. Bose experiment. So this was the experiment in 1895. Seems to be that Marconi has stolen this experiment and named it or patented it in his name. So this was the conflict. Marconi is doing the experiment wireless signal in 1901. J.C. Bose was doing the experiment in 1895. So J.C. Bose prior to the Marconi actually doing the experiment. Transatlantic, that signal transmission by the Marconi in 1901 is the frequency chosen by the Marconi was 60 megahertz. You just note the frequency. 60 megahertz is the frequency chosen by the Marconi for his transatlantic wireless signal experiment. Whereas the J.C. Bose in 1895, prior to the Marconi, utilized 60 gigahertz signal. 60 gigahertz is a very high frequency. At that time, 60 gigahertz generation, nobody does not know about the 60 gigahertz generation. Nobody does not know about the 60 gigahertz reception as well as to how to handle the 60 gigahertz, because it is a very tremendous high frequency signal, 60 gigahertz. In the laboratory also nowadays, you cannot control the 60 gigahertz very efficiently because it is a very high frequency signal. It is very difficult to generate and control and detect the 60 gigahertz signal. So this was the differences between the Marconi and the J.C. Bose. Marconi used the 60 megahertz signal, whereas the J.C. Bose used the 60 gigahertz signal. In this Calcutta, in the Presidency College, within his laboratory, he generated 60 gigahertz signal. He transmitted 60 gigahertz signal, and he received 60 gigahertz signal 100 meter apart to fire a gunpowder to ring a bell. So this is not so easy. This was very difficult. In his landmark 60 gigahertz microwave experiment, he was the first person to use crystals or radio wave detection. In this experiment, what he has done, so he generated 60 gigahertz signal and transmitted to 100 meter with the help of horn antenna. What he has done, he generated 60 gigahertz signal. He used a waveguide type of a structure, and at the end of the waveguide, it has a horn antenna. Entire thing is developed first time by Sir J.C. Bose. Before this, there was no waveguide, there was no horn antenna was used or produced by anybody. He was the first person to generate the waveguide, to produce the waveguide, to use the waveguide to 60 gigahertz signal propagation, and to transmit the signal at the transmitter rate with the horn antenna. That horn antenna structure is completely framed by him, and he also actually created that horn antenna in his laboratory in the Presidency College by the workshop he produced. At the receiver end, similarly, there was a horn antenna to receive the incoming signal, and there is a waveguide through which the received signal can propagate through at the receiver end. So these structures, this horn antenna waveguide, was the first time in the world Sir J.C. Bose actually realized that this structure can support this 60 gigahertz signal, and he devised this thing, horn antenna waveguide, and he created this thing in his workshop, and he doing this experiment in that nobody does not know anything about 60 gigahertz signal at that time. In the detection, just like the Marconi experiment, in the detector side, the Fleming actually utilized the diode valve to rectify the signal and to measure the detect the incoming signal. Similarly, in his experiment on the in Presidency College, 1895, Sir J.C. Bose actually detected the incoming wireless signal which is being transmitted 100 meter apart at the receiver end with the help of semiconductors. So this was the first utilization of the semiconductor to detect an incoming wireless signal of 60 gigahertz order. he was the first person to use the crystals. He was the first person to use the crystal. Crystal means semiconductor. At that time, semiconductor name does not appears at that time. That semiconductor, definitely solid state semiconductor is a crystalline material, but that is called as a crystals. Okay, so nowadays it is called as semiconductors. But the same that is same thing, because silicon previously that was called a crystal, but nowadays it is called a semiconductor. Okay, so at that time he utilized these crystals, which is actually the semiconductor materials, to detect the incoming 60 gigahertz signal at that time, which was a landmark experiment, because it is very difficult to how we cannot understand nowadays that how he has think of this kind of experiment at that time, because nothing was there. Everything he has utilized in that experiment was the first time in the world, and also it is almost 60 years or 70 years before he is actually using this sort of devices in his experiment. Okay, so this is why this is a very surprising that how he thought of this type of experiment and how he created this type of devices at that time in 1895 to generate and handle and detect the 60 gigahertz signal at the Calcutta in his laboratory. So this is very surprising. He used semiconductor materials to detect the incoming signal. You know that these semiconductor materials, what he actually used, he used a crystal semiconductor material and a metal contact. Okay, so metal semiconductor junction he used to detect the incoming radio signal. You know that metal semiconductor junction is also a diode, which is known as a Schottky barrier diode. And any wireless signal which is falling onto that Schottky barrier diode will only allow one half cycle, and that will produce a DC voltage, and that by measuring that DC voltage, you can measure the incoming wireless signal, or you can detect and measure the incoming wireless signal. This was done in this way by Sir J.C. Bose in 1895. The semiconductor material or the crystal he used is not a silicon or germanium, but it is a galena, lead sulfide, PBS, or tellurium, TE. These two materials, actually mainly the galena, PBS. This galena, PBS, is a crystalline material which is a semiconductor. Okay, just like the silicon semiconductor, what we have learned in the earlier previous semester, that semiconductor, silicon or germanium, that crystalline structure has a semiconductor property, like this galena also has a semiconductor. This is also a semiconductor, or tellurium is also a semiconductor crystalline material. Galena has a band gap of 0.4 electron volt. These are the very small band gap material. Tellurium has a band gap of 0.33 electron volt. So these are the semiconductor materials he utilized to detect the wireless signal, incoming wireless signal. So the experiment he has done, this is the, you can see now, can you see this slide? This was the experimental setup he has made at that time. A part of the experimental setup is very large. I am only showing you the detector side. Are you getting this slide?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you getting this?
Yes,
you
sir.
see that it is US patent 755840A. This was the patent made at 1901, 30 September 1901. This patent was made, this was the experimental setup. This is not a complete setup, but you can go to this patent into the patent site, and you can get the detailed experiment he has done at that time. All this is a part of the apparatus in the receiver side. This is a part of the apparatus in the receiver side. Okay. And this apparatus, all the apparatus, everything is constructed by himself with the workshop he framed, because nobody has any idea what he's actually doing, because nobody know how to receive such kind of 60 gigahertz signal at that time. So nobody can do this thing except him. So he generated this, he produced this device as a detector. You see that? So this is the receiver side. This is the waveguide structure. You see that this is the waveguide structure. This waveguide structure, waveguide concept was first utilized by Sir J.C. Bose. a horn antenna was there in this side. In this side, you have a horn antenna. In this side, you have a horn antenna. Horn antenna is receiving the incoming radio wave signal, and within that waveguide, you have this detector. So this is the detector within the waveguide. Horn antenna receiving the incoming signal. Within the waveguide, after the horn antenna, you have this detector. What is this detector is? So this detector, you see the 4. So this is the semiconductor. 4 is the semiconductor material, crystal material, galena or tellurium. This is the 4, marked as a 4. And this is the 5 marked as a, this sharp edge contact. This is a metal, okay? Any kind of metal he has used at that time. So this is the metal. And this is the semiconductor, galena type of semiconductor he utilized. So there is a metal, this is the metal, sharp edge is the metal contact, and this is the semiconductor. So there is a metal semiconductor contact. So this is this is the detector. When the wireless signal actually incoming signal, when the wireless incoming signal fall on this detector, only half cycle will produce a current, and you know that half cycle means you have a DC voltage, so you can measure the or detect and measure the incoming radio wave signal. So this apparatus is used, generated and used by the Sir J.C. Bose at that time. Here he first utilized the crystals of the semiconductor to detect the incoming wireless signal. In the previously we have seen that Marconi, with the help of Ambrose Fleming, detected the incoming wireless signal with the help of vacuum diode, Fleming diode. So also in the vacuum technology, to detect the wireless signal, vacuum diode was used. Now in case of J.C. Bose also, in 1895, he detected the incoming wireless signal with the help of a diode, which is a metal semiconductor junction diode, where the semiconductor galena or tellurium was first utilized as an electronic device to detect the incoming radio wave signal. So that is why in the previous semester, I have said you repeatedly that through which the electronics have been born, generated. I have said this thing. If you have listened to my previous classes, I have said this repeatedly. So,
Sir, I have a question, sir.
yeah.
Sir, why galena is used as a semiconductor is not?
Look, conventionally, today we know that silicon and germanium is not it. You have learned also silicon germanium. But before silicon or germanium appears at 1940. Okay, there is noise is coming, but still I am saying that in after 1940, silicon and germanium was purified, then utilized as a semiconductor material. But before, that means Jagadish Chandra Bosu, Sir Jagadish Chandra Bosu was experimenting in 1895. You just see the year 1895, which is a very long way back. At that time, there was no name of the semiconductor. The existence of the semiconductor was not known. At that time, p-type, n-type material, existence of the semiconductor technology, or this semiconductor, crystalline semiconductor, this concept was not known. Only thing known is the crystal. So at that time, semiconductor and germanium was unpurified, and they were not used as a semiconductor or crystal materials for this purpose. The purified material naturally obtained is the galena or tellurium. They was utilized by other peoples, and they was utilized for as a crystal for the crystalline purposes. So at that time, semiconductor like silicon or germanium, the crystal was not purified, and that was not in that form to utilized as a galena crystal. The work that actually give you the galena, it cannot serve that purpose. silicon and germanium appears after 1940. Have you got your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but previously semiconductor silicon germanium like this galena, this was not the concept. People usually try to specify this material as a crystal, galena crystal. Semiconductor term was not used at that time. Semiconductor term used after. Okay, so at that time, instead of using the term semiconductor, the crystal term was used. So this material, crystalline material, has certain sort of properties that is useful. And Sir J.C. Bose was the first to utilize a crystal or the semiconductor in the radio wave detection as a electronic semiconductor material. He was the first time utilizing this semiconductor material to detect some wireless signal.
Okay, sir.
So that is why it is mentioned here. If you have just like this one, so this is the cat whisker detector. You may appear to this name in somewhere in 1906. Before this cat whisker, you have the J.C. Bose experiment in 1895 where the metal semiconductor was used. You see that in this structure, later on this device was developed instead of J.C. Bose device. This is the galena crystal. This cylindrical one is the galena crystal. And this is the metal coming from the pointed tip. So this is the metal. So this metal wire is actually shielded here over the galena crystal. So here you have a metal semiconductor junction. Just like the J.C. Bose, we have seen that 4 and 5 metal contact. So this is the galena, this is the metal wire. So metal wire acts as a p-type material and galena acts as an anode. Metal wire acts as an anode and galena acts as a cathode. So current can flow from metal wire to the galena. Opposite current cannot flow. This principle is already known. You know this thing that how the Schottky barrier or the PN junction diode current can flow in only one direction. So in this case also, the current can flow from metal to the semiconductor. Current cannot flow in the opposite direction. So this is the cat whisker detector, later developed in 1906. But before that, the galena, this galena crystal or the crystal semiconductor crystal was utilized in the J.C. Bose by the J.C. Bose. And this you see that this is the crystal and this is the metal contact, sharp contact. So here you have the metal semiconductor junction in the between here point tip and the semiconductor. Here you have the metal semiconductor junction. So these two type of devices was used first by the J.C. Bose, then cat whisker detector was developed later. But same principle that it is a semiconductor crystalline material and the metal contact, which is a metal semiconductor contact, only can allow unidirectional current flow. So when the signal actually fall into this device, what happens? Current can flow from metal to the semiconductor, but opposite current cannot flow because the metal acts as an anode and semiconductor acts as a cathode. So whenever a wireless signal falls on this structure, incoming AC signal, so only unidirectional current will flow. That is either positive half cycle or negative half cycle will flow at the output, and you get a constant output DC voltage you can get, because you know that Vm by pi, if the half wave rectifier, this is a half wave rectifier, so Vm by pi will be the DC voltage you get from this detector, and you can easily, using the voltmeter, you can easily detect the DC voltage, and you can easily measure the DC voltage. So incoming wireless signal can be detected as well as the measured with this type of semiconductor metal contact. So this was the applications in 1895. The Sir J.C. Bose first applied semiconductor materials, galena or tellurium, as a fast electronic device to detect the wireless signal. In both the cases, diode have been utilized. In semiconductor, J.C. Bose utilized the semiconductor metal junction diode to detect the incoming wireless signal, as well as in the vacuum technology, we have seen that where the vacuum diode was utilized to detect the incoming wireless signal doing by the Marconi, 60 megahertz signal, and he detected. So in both the cases, vacuum or semiconductor, diode was the first semiconductor devices, diode was the first electronic devices which was utilized as a electronic device fast applications. Bose, Sir J.C. Bose first patented, Sir J.C. Bose, I'm sorry that this Bose name I should not mention here. Sir J.C. Bose should be. Okay. Sir J.C. Bose first patented the detector on 13th September 1901. This is often considered the first patent of a semiconductor device. So that device, a metal semiconductor junction, he patented this device, and the patent I have shown you that this is the patent, this is a part of the patent. Entire patent you can read from this patent number. So in that, he patented in 1901. You see that here you have the signature of the Sir J.C. Bose. You see that this is the Jagadish. It is named as a Jagadish Chunder Bose. Okay. So and in the below you have the signature of the Sir J.C. Bose. This is the inventor, but as a patent of the 1901. And this was the first patent of a semiconductor material. First applications of a semiconductor material, and it was done by Sir J.C. Bose, and it was done in Calcutta in Presidency College. Okay, so not far apart in this town, and it was the first considered to be the first semiconductor patent. So this is the contribution of Sir J.C. Bose. I hope that you now must be aware of that there is a tremendous contribution of the Sir J.C. Bose in case of semiconductor application. Not only that semiconductor, in that microwave also, that horn antenna, that isolator, there are several apparatus he used in that 60 gigahertz signal. I am not have much time to discuss about those, but I just want to say something little bit. He actually used a polarizer, okay, which is made of a jute, পাটের দড়ি দিয়ে পোলারাইজার তৈরি করেছিলেন, ঠিক আছে? ওনার মাথায় কি করে এলো যে পাটের দড়ি দিয়ে 60 গিগাহার্টজ সিগন্যালকে পোলারাইজ করা যাবে, এটা এখন অনেকের মাথায় ঢোকে না। বুঝতে পেরেছো তো? এইরকম হচ্ছে সিনারিও, উনার এই এরকমই ব্যাপার ছিল। তো ওই পাটের দড়ি দিয়ে উনি পোলারাইজার তৈরি করেছিলেন, যেটা এর আগে কেউ মানে কোনোদিন ইউটিলাইজই হয়নি, হয়নি। এখনো উনার ওই এক্সপেরিমেন্টটা সবার কাছে বিস্ময়, এবং অনেকে উনার ওই এক্সপেরিমেন্টটাকে রিসার্চ করে অনেক পেপার বার করে, ঠিক আছে? তাই এই হচ্ছে উনার এক্সপেরিমেন্ট সে সময় ছিল। ওই ওয়েব গাইড, ওই হর্ন অ্যান্টেনা, এই সেমিকন্ডাক্টর মেটাল ডিটেক্টর, এই সব কিছু উনি ইউটিলাইজ করেছেন ফার্স্ট টাইম ইন দ্য ওয়ার্ল্ড। অ্যান্ড 60 গিগাহার্টজকে ওইভাবে জেনারেট করা যায়, কন্ট্রোল করা যায় এবং ডিটেক্ট করা যায়, ওইটা উনি সেই সময় দেখিয়েছিলেন। মাইক্রোওয়েভ 60 আফটার মানে 60 বছর পর মাইক্রোওয়েভ ডেভেলপমেন্ট হয়েছে, তখন গিয়ে বোঝা গেল যে ওই জগদীশচন্দ্র বসুর ওই ডিভাইসগুলো কি ছিল, ঠিক আছে? সেটা বুঝতে মানুষের সময় লাগলো 60 বছর পর। তো ইনার এক্সপেরিমেন্টটা এরকম ছিল, ঠিক আছে? এই নিয়ে তোমরা ডিটেল পড়াশোনা করতে পারো, এবং যত পড়বে তত বিস্ময় হবে। ওকে, সেই জন্য একজন নোবেল লরিয়েট উনি বলেছেন, স্যার নাভেলি মট, ওকে, স্যার নাভেলি মট, নোবেল লরিয়েট ইন 1977, তিনি বলেছেন, J.C. Bose was at least 60 years ahead of his time. উনি যে এক্সপেরিমেন্টটা করেছেন সেটা 60 বছর পরে মানুষ বুঝতে পেরেছিল, কিন্তু 60 বছর আগের ওনার এক্সপেরিমেন্টের ওই জিনিসগুলো 60 বছর পরে মানুষ ওইগুলোকে ইউটিলাইজ করেছিল মাইক্রোওয়েভে। সেই জন্য উনি বলেছেন যে 60 years ahead of his time, and in fact he anticipated the existence of p-type and n-type semiconductor. সে সময় তুমি যে কোশ্চেনটা করলে, কোশ্চেনটা ভালোই করেছো। তোমার একজন বন্ধু যে কোশ্চেনটা করলো যে সিলিকন জার্মেনিয়ামটা গেল কোথায়? সিলিকন জার্মেনিয়াম আসছে 1940-তে, আফটার 1940। তার আগে সিলিকন জার্মেনিয়ামের খুব একটা ইউটিলাইজেশন ছিল না। কেন? কারণ সিলিকন এবং জার্মেনিয়ামের এত বেশি ইম্পিউরিটি যে ওর ক্রিস্টালাইন যে প্রপার্টিগুলো সেগুলো অতটা ইনফ্লুয়েন্সিভ ছিল না। যতক্ষণ না ওকে পিওর করা হবে ততক্ষণ ও ওই সেমিকন্ডাক্টর হিসেবে কাজ করবে না ভালোভাবে। সেজন্য 1940 আগে সেমিকন্ডাক্টরের অস্তিত্ব বলে কিছু ছিল না। যে ক্রিস্টাল বলে ছিল, যে ক্রিস্টালের এরকম ব্যাপারে, এই ব্যাপারে, এইসব ব্যাপারে, এই ক্রিস্টালে কিছু এই রেকটিফাইং প্রপার্টি এইগুলো সম্বন্ধে কিছু আইডিয়া ছিল, কিন্তু এই যে সেমিকন্ডাক্টর এবং ডোপিং করা যাবে, পি টাইপ এন টাইপ, এইসব কনসেপ্ট কিচ্ছু ছিল না। কিন্তু ওই 1895-এ ওই এক্সপেরিমেন্টটা করার সময় জগদীশচন্দ্র বসু বুঝতে পেরেছিলেন যে ক্রিস্টালাইন মেটেরিয়াল বা সেমিকন্ডাক্টর মেটেরিয়ালের ইম্পর্টেন্সটা কি, ওর থেকে যে পি টাইপ এন টাইপ তৈরি করা যেতে পারে এরকম একটা ওনার ধারণা হয়েছিল। সেই জন্য উনি বলছেন যে ইনফ্যাক্ট হি অ্যান্টিসিপেটেড দ্য এক্সিস্টেন্স অফ দ্য পি টাইপ অ্যান্ড এন টাইপ সেমিকন্ডাক্টরস অ্যাট দ্যাট টাইম। উনি ফার্স্ট বুঝেছিলেন যে পি টাইপ এন টাইপ সেমিকন্ডাক্টর তৈরি করা যেতে পারে, যার ভীষণ অ্যাপ্লিকেশন হতে পারে 1895 সালে। আর তোমার সেই পি টাইপ এন টাইপ সেমিকন্ডাক্টরটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি আসছে পরে, কবে, সেটা 1940 সালে। এই হচ্ছে ওনার এক্সপেরিমেন্ট সে সময় হয়েছিল, ঠিক আছে। তা এর বেশি আজকে আর কিছু ডিসকাশন আমি করছি না। আশা করছি তোমরা বুঝতে পেরেছো আমি যেটা বলতে চেয়েছিলাম, যে সেই সময় কিভাবে এই জিনিসটা ডেভেলপ হয়েছিল, যে সেমিকন্ডাক্টর এবং ভ্যাকুয়াম ইলেকট্রনিক্স এবং সেমিকন্ডাক্টর ইলেকট্রনিক্স কি করে তোমার আসলো, ইলেকট্রিক বাল্ব থেকে কি করে ভ্যাকুয়াম ডায়োড ট্রায়োড আসলো, আর কি করে তোমার স্যার জেসি বোস একটা ক্রিস্টালাইন মেটেরিয়ালকে সেমিকন্ডাক্টর ডায়োড হিসেবে ব্যবহার করেছিলেন। উনি যে ডায়োডটা ডিভাইসটা ব্যবহার করেছিলেন, এই মেটাল সেমিকন্ডাক্টর জাংশন, এর যে ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক্সটা এইটা দেখো, এই যে ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক্স গুলো দেখো, এই যে ডায়োডে ফরওয়ার্ড বায়াস যে ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক্স গুলো হয় অনেকটা ওই রকম উনি এরকম পেয়েছিলেন সেই সময়, ঠিক আছে। এবং সেটা উনি ওই সময় ওই পাবলিশ করেছিলেন, ঠিক আছে। এইরকম এক্সপেরিমেন্ট উনি পেয়েছেন। এটা আমি জেসি বোসের স্যার জেসি বোসের একটা পেপার আছে, যে পেপারটা পরে আবার এটাকে পাবলিশ করা হয়েছিল আইটিপিলিতে, ঠিক আছে। এই পেপারটা আমি এই এক্সপেরিমেন্টের সম্বন্ধে বলা আছে ওখানে, সেখানে এই কার্ডটা দেওয়া আছে, আমি ওখান থেকে নিয়েছি, ঠিক আছে। তো এই হচ্ছে তোমার স্যার জেসি বোসের অ্যাপ্লিকেশন, এভলিউশন অফ দ্য সেমিকন্ডাক্টর অ্যান্ড দ্য ভ্যাকুয়াম টেকনোলজি ইন ইলেকট্রনিক্স। সো এরকম ভাবে তোমার ইলেকট্রনিক্স এসছে। ভ্যাকুয়াম টেকনোলজি
স্যার ইতিহাসটা পাবো কোথায় স্যার? আরো ভালো মানে মানে এরকম গোছানো বা পড়ার জন্য।
এটা অনেক কিছু পড়তে হবে। মানে আমি যে তোমাদেরকে এই কথাগুলো বলছি এর জন্য আমাকে অনেক পড়াশোনা করতে হয়েছে, পেটেন্ট পড়তে হয়েছে, পেপার পড়তে হয়েছে, অনেক আর্টিকেল পড়তে হয়েছে, পড়ে তারপরে এগুলো আমি তোমাদের বলছি। নেটে তুমি পেয়ে যাবে, নেটে অনেক কিছু পাবে সার্চ করে, কিন্তু প্রপার যে জিনিসগুলো আছে সেগুলো তোমাকে পেতে হবে। এই যেমন ধরো এখানে যে পেটেন্ট নাম্বারটা আমি দিয়েছি, তুমি সার্চ জেসি বোসের ওই 60 গিগাহার্টজ মাইক্রোওয়েভের ওই পেটেন্ট হিসাবে সার্চ দাও, তোমার ইউএস পেটেন্ট চলে আসবে। তো এই নাম্বারটা দিলে তুমি বা ওখানে ক্লিক করলে তুমি এই স্যার জেসি বোসের পেটেন্টে ওইখানে সেরকম ভাবে টমাস আলভা এডিশন যে কি পেটেন্টটা পাবলিশ করেছিলেন সেটা ইউএস পেটেন্ট সাইটে আছে, সেটা তুমি সার্চ করে বের করে ওখান থেকে পড়তে পারো যে উনি অ্যাকচুয়ালি কি করেছিলেন। পুরো ডিটেল ওখানে লেখা আছে যে উনার কত এফোর্ট দিতে হয়েছিল, কিভাবে উনি করেছিলেন, 12 থেকে কত বছরের চেষ্টা করে উনি ওই ইলেকট্রিক বাল্বটা তৈরি করেছিলেন, ঠিক আছে। তারপর ফ্লেমিং এর পেটেন্টটাও তুমি ওইভাবে পড়তে পারো। এইগুলো সব তোমার নেটে আছে, অ্যাভেলেবেল আছে, তুমি ঠিকঠাক সার্চ করে ওগুলো বের করে পড়তে পারো। এতে তোমার নলেজ আরো বাড়বে যদি কেউ পড়ে এই জিনিসগুলো, ঠিক আছে। আমি ওগুলো সব স্টাডি করেছি, করে এই ছোট্ট করে তোমাদের সামনে প্রেজেন্ট করেছি। আশা করি তোমরা কিছুটা বুঝতে পেরেছো হয়তো।
স্যার বুঝতে পেরেছি এবং ভালো লেগেছে। হ্যাঁ, সব মিলে ইতিহাসটা আসলে ওইভাবে জানা ছিল না তো এই জন্য।
না, এখানে যে ইন্ডিয়ান কন্ট্রিবিউশন হিসেবে স্যার জেসি বোসের যে ব্যাপারটা অনেকটা সাপ্রেসড, কিন্তু উনি যে কি করেছিলেন, উনার যে ওই এক্সপেরিমেন্টটা সেইটা নিয়ে অনেক পেপার আছে, অনেক পেপার আছে। উনি ওইগুলো কি করে সেই সময় করতে পারলেন, ওটা কোনোভাবেই পসিবল ছিল না। কি করে ওনার মাথা থেকে ওগুলো বেরোলো, পাটের দড়ি দিয়ে আইসোলেটার, আর লোহার দিয়ে ওয়েব গাইড, আর হর্ন অ্যান্টেনা, আর এই মেটাল সেমিকন্ডাক্টর জাংশন দিয়ে ডিটেক্টর, এই জিনিসগুলো সম্বন্ধে কেউই জানতো না ওয়ার্ল্ডে, আবিষ্কারই হয়নি। সব উনি প্রথম টাইম করেছিলেন এবং ওই এক্সপেরিমেন্টে করে সবাইকে তাক লাগিয়ে দিয়েছিলেন, ঠিক আছে। তো এই এক্সপেরিমেন্টে যখন লন্ডনে যখন উনি ডেমনস্ট্রেশন দিয়েছিলেন তখন সবাই খুব অবাক হয়ে গেছিল। যাই হোক, তো ওনার কন্ট্রিবিউশন ছিল এই সেমিকন্ডাক্টরে, এবং সেই কন্ট্রিবিউশনটা আমার মনে হয়েছে যে তোমাদেরকে একটু জানানো দরকার, কারণ জানা উচিত। এবং এবং ওনার এই এক্সপেরিমেন্ট এবং কন্ট্রিবিউশনটা, ঠিক আছে। সেই জন্য তোমার ওনার ওই মার্কনি, অনেকেই বলে যে ওই মার্কনি স্যার জেসি বোসের এই এক্সপেরিমেন্টটা থেকে চুরি করে জিনিসটা করেছিলেন। কিন্তু একটা ব্যাপারে আমি ওই ব্যাপারটা এখনো ডিটেল স্টাডি করিনি, তো এটা ব্যাপারে বলতে পারি যে জগদীশ চন্দ্র বসু স্যার উনি মার্কনির আগে করেছিলেন 1895 সালে। উনি 60 গিগাহার্টজ সিগন্যাল করেছিলেন, আর মার্কনি করেছিল 1901 সালে 60 মেগাহার্টজ, অনেক লো ফ্রিকোয়েন্সি। এবারে কি হয়েছিল সেটা আমাকে আরো একটু স্টাডি করতে হবে, তবে আমি জানতে পারবো আগে থেকে। মানে এরকম একটা প্রচার আছে এটা জানি, তবে জগদীশ চন্দ্র বসুর ক্রেডিট আগে পাওয়া উচিত, কারণ উনি 1895 সালে এরকম একটা করেছিলেন। ওই এক্সপেরিমেন্টের প্রত্যেকটা ডিভাইস এখনো ফাংশন এবং মাইক্রোওয়েভে ওই রকম ভাবেই ইউজ করা হয়। ঠিক আছে, তো এইগুলো আমার মনে হয়েছে জানা দরকার তোমাদের, সেই জন্য আমি বললাম। যদি কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে, ইজ দেয়ার এনি কোশ্চেন, ইউ ক্যান আস্ক মি। আর ইউ গেটিং মি?
ইয়েস স্যার।
দেখো, এই যে যেটা বললাম কি করে শুরু হলো সেটা বললাম। এবারে এই ভ্যাকুয়াম ইলেকট্রনিক্সটা অনেক বেশি তাড়াতাড়ি তোমার ডমিনেট করেছিল। আস্তে 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 সেমিকন্ডাক্টর ইলেকট্রনিক্সটা আস্তে আস্তে সব ডমিনেট করে, এখন তো পরিষ্কার বুঝতে পারছো যে সবই সেমিকন্ডাক্টর ইলেকট্রনিক্স। ঠিক আছে, সেগুলো সম্বন্ধে কেন ওগুলো হলো সেটা সম্বন্ধে আর দু একটা ছোট্ট ছোট্ট কথা বলবো, বেশি ডিটেলে যাব না, বললে হয়ে যাবে, সেটা আজকে আর সম্ভব না। ঠিক আছে, সেটা অন্য একদিন পরের দিন ক্লাসে হবে। এনি কোশ্চেন ইজ দেয়ার?
অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক্সটা কি স্যার টোটালি মানে এই সাবজেক্টের মধ্যে ডিসকাশন করা হবে যে কিভাবে আসলে অ্যানালগ থেকে ডিজিটাল হয়েছে, নাকি অ্যানালগটা কেমন ছিল সেটা সেটা ডিসকাশন করা হবে সাবজেক্টে?
অ্যানালগটা কেমন ছিল বলতে?
অ্যানালগ ডিভাইসটা একরকম ছিল, ওখান থেকে আরো ডেভেলপ হয়ে তো স্যার ডিজিটালে এসেছে, তাই না?
না না, তুমি ডিজিটাল একটা আলাদা জিনিস। ঠিক আছে, ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্সটা, দুটো ইলেকট্রনিক্স নিয়ে তোমাদের একটু কনফিউশন। অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক্স আর ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্স, এই নিয়ে কনফিউশন হচ্ছে। তো তোমরা ভাবছো যে অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক্স সার্কিটগুলো ইমপ্রুভ হয়ে ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্স সার্কিটে কনভার্ট হয়েছে। না, ব্যাপারটা তা না।
উন্নত হয়ে স্যার এরকম মনে হচ্ছে।
না 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 না, ব্যাপারটা তা না। অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক্স সার্কিটগুলো ফান্ডামেন্টাল সার্কিট। তুমি যদি অসিলেটর না থাকে, তুমি মোবাইল দিয়ে সিগন্যাল কমিউনিকেট করতে পারবে না। তো ওই সার্কিটগুলো ফান্ডামেন্টাল সার্কিট, ওইগুলো ইমপ্রুভ হয়ে ডিজিটাল সার্কিট হয়েছে তা না। Digital electronics is based on analog electronic circuits, but digital electronics is a different concept. Okay, digital electronics এর জন্য কম্পিউটার এসছে, মোবাইল ফোন এসছে, সফটওয়্যার, এই জিনিসগুলো এসছে, এটা অলরেডি নোন, ইউ নো দিস থিং। কিন্তু ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্স এর কনসেপ্ট একটু ডিফারেন্ট। ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্সটা কি জানো? ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্সটা এসছে তোমার জর্জ বুলি, নাম শুনেছো? বুলিয়ান অ্যালজেব্রা।
ইয়েস স্যার।
ওই যে অর গেট, অ্যান্ড গেট, নট গেট,
নট গেট স্যার, তিনটা স্যার,
অর
পাঁচটা।
অপারেশন, অ্যান্ড অপারেশন, নট অপারেশন। এটা কি জিনিস জানো? এই তিনটে গেট, এই তিনটে গেট, আমি তোমাদেরকে একটা সিম্পল কোশ্চেন করছি, যদি তোমরা জানতে চাইছো বলে আমি কোশ্চেনটা করছি। হ্যাঁ, জানা থাকলে, যদি কোনো থাকে, আইডিয়া থাকে তো বলো। আচ্ছা, এই যে তিনটে অপারেশন, অর অপারেশন, নট অপারেশন, অর অ্যান্ড অপারেশন, এই যে তিনটে অপারেশন, অর গেট, নট গেট, অ্যান্ড গেট, একে লজিক গেট কেন বলে জানো? লজিক কেন বলে জানো? খুবই সিম্পল একটা কোশ্চেন, একে লজিক গেট বলে তো।
স্যার হ্যাঁ, লজিক্যালি।
লজিক গেট বলে, এটা তোমরা শুনে আসছো, লজিক গেট
স্যার।
বলে, হায়ার সেকেন্ডারি থেকে শুনে আসছো। কেন বলে জানো? তাহলে তোমার ওই কোশ্চেনটা অ্যান্সার পেয়ে যাবে। হ্যাঁ বলো। জানো?
ওইগুলো দিয়ে ন্যান গেট, অ্যান্ড গেট এগুলো তৈরি হয় তো।
না, ন্যান গেট, অ্যান্ড গেট, অর গেট, এই তিনটে গেটকে লজিক গেট বলে। কেন বলে জানো? তখনই বুঝতে পারবে যে অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক্স আর ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্স দুটো কেন আলাদা, কি রকম ব্যাপারটা কি। দেখো, এই গেটগুলো, এই যে নট অপারেশন, অর অপারেশন আর অ্যান্ড অপারেশন, এইটা হচ্ছে তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন। আমার কথা শুনছো? শুনতে পাচ্ছ তো তোমরা? এই তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন, এই তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন, এইগুলো মানুষের ব্রেনে চলে। বুঝতে পেরেছো? মানুষের ব্রেনে যে থিঙ্কিং প্রসেসটা চলে, মানে যে চিন্তা ভাবনাগুলো চলে, তুমি যে একটা যোগ করো, ধরো 5-এর সঙ্গে 8 যোগ করবে, 13 হবে। এই যে জিনিসটা, এই যে মানে 5-এর সঙ্গে যোগ করলে এই যে 13 হবে, এর পিছনে ব্রেনে যে লজিকটা চলে, সেই লজিক অপারেশনটা চলে, সেই লজিক অপারেশনটাকে যদি ব্রেক করো, তাহলে এই তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন পাবে। যে তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন দিয়ে মাইন্ডে, হিউম্যান মাইন্ডে সমস্ত কমপ্লিকেটেড চিন্তা ভাবনাগুলো চলে, লজিক অপারেশন চলে। এই ব্রেনের যে লজিক অপারেশন গুলো চলে, তার তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন আছে। সেটা হচ্ছে অর অপারেশন, অ্যান্ড অপারেশন আর নট অপারেশন। এই তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন গুলোকে বিভিন্ন রকম ভাবে মিশিয়ে তোমার ব্রেনের যে কোনো লজিক্যাল অপারেশন গুলো যে চলছে সেগুলো চলে মানুষের ব্রেনে বা হিউম্যান মাইন্ডে। এই তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন কিন্তু মানুষের ব্রেন থেকে নেওয়া, মানুষের ওই থট প্রসেস থেকে নেওয়া। এবং এটা করেছিল জর্জ বুলি। তার একটা বই পাবলিশ করেছিল, ওটা ওই 1868 না ওই রকম সময়, 54 সময় একটা বই পাবলিশ করেছিলেন। সেই বইটা ছিল লজ অফ থট। মানে উনি চেষ্টা করেছিলেন মানুষের যে থিঙ্কিং প্রসেসটা চলে তাকে ম্যাথামেটিক্সে কি করে নিয়ে আসা যায়। ওইটা করতে গিয়ে উনি এই তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল অপারেশন বার করেছিলেন এবং তার সেই একটা অ্যালজেব্রা তৈরি করেছিলেন যাকে বলে বুলিয়ান অ্যালজেব্রা, যেটা হচ্ছে প্রিন্সিপাল অফ হিউম্যান থিঙ্কিং, অ্যালজেব্রা অফ হিউম্যান থিঙ্কিং। সেই জন্য এই অপারেশনগুলোকে বলা হয় লজ অফ থট বা লজিক গেট, লজিক অপারেশনস অফ দ্য হিউম্যান মাইন্ড। ঠিক আছে?
Sir,
হ্যাঁ বলো।
sir, we have another class, so conclude
হ্যাঁ
this class.
হ্যাঁ করে দিচ্ছি, আশা করি উত্তরটা পেয়েছো।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, খুবই সুন্দর স্যার, মানে এটা ব্যাপারটা জানতাম না যে আসলে ব্রেন্ডের এই এই ব্যাপারগুলো আসলে এই যে গাণিতিক
এই যে তিনটে অপারেশন আছে অ্যান্ড গেট, অর গেট, নট গেট, এটা হচ্ছে থিঙ্কিং প্রসেস, ফান্ডামেন্টাল থিঙ্কিং প্রসেস অফ হিউম্যান মাইন্ড। এই তিনটে ফান্ডামেন্টাল হিউম্যান মাইন্ডের অপারেশনটাকে অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক সার্কিট দিয়ে তৈরি করা যায় যাকে বলে গেট। যখন ওই অর অপারেশনকে অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক সার্কিট দিয়ে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করবে সেটা হয়ে যাবে অর গেট। বুঝতে পেরেছো তো? ডিজিটাল অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক্সটা ইমপ্রুভ হয়ে ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্স হয়েছে তা না। ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্স কমপ্লিটলি কামস ফ্রম দ্য লজ অফ থট। হিউম্যান মাইন্ডে যে থিঙ্কিং প্রসেসটা চলে সেখান থেকে যে অ্যালজেব্রা, সেই অ্যালজেব্রাকে সার্কিটে রূপান্তরিত করলে হবে ডিজিটাল ইলেকট্রনিক্স। এইটা হচ্ছে বেসিক পয়েন্ট। ঠিক আছে? ওকে, আশা করি বুঝতে পেরেছো।
হ্যাঁ স্যার, বুঝতে পারছি।
ঠিক আছে, আর কোনো কোশ্চেন আছে কিছু?
স্যার বলছি অ্যানালগ ইলেকট্রনিক।
আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে, না আমি ফ্রাইডেতে বলো। আমি চেষ্টা করবো আমি চেষ্টা করছি, কারণ খুব শীঘ্রই সিলেবাসটা আমায় স্টার্ট করতে হবে। আর একটা ক্লাসের মধ্যে সিলেবাস আমি স্টার্ট করে দেবো, কারণ এই সেমিস্টার 9টা। আচ্ছা আমি চেষ্টা করবো, 9টা খুব টু আর্লি, চেষ্টা করবো। আমি আমি তোমাদেরকে লিঙ্ক এবং সময় পাঠিয়ে দেবো। ঠিক আছে? একটু ভ্যারি করতে পারে ডিফারেন্ট উইকে। ঠিক আছে, সেটা একটু অ্যাডজাস্ট করে নিও। আর আমাকে একটু ওই ইয়েটা দিও, অ্যাটেন্ডেন্সটা দিও। ঠিক আছে? হ্যাঁ, ওকে ওকে ওকে, তাহলে আজকে এই অবধি থাক, নেক্সট ক্লাসে তোমরা জয়েন করো। ওকে,
ওকে স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ স্যার।
থ্যাংকস থ্যাংকস।